Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel, or welcome. If you are new here, my name is Grace, and today's video is going to be another in my strength and conditioning series. Today's session is going to be focused on the core. Now, please don't click off the video just because I've said core. I'm going to teach you hopefully some new skills and drills that you can incorporate into your home yoga practice that are going to help strengthen your core muscles in a bit more of a nuanced and deeper way than just doing crunches. You're not going to need any equipment for today's practice. You are literally just going to need your yoga mats. So when you feel ready to, come to lie on your back. Just bring the soles of your feet down onto the floor. You can tuck your tailbone underneath, just lengthen your lower back, relax your shoulders. I'm just going to take a couple of deep breaths here. So you can let your knees knock in towards each other. And today we're going to bring those hands just onto the sides of the rib cage. We don't have to breathe too deeply here, just to notice the breath in the sides of the body. And I invite you here to take the deepest breath you have so far today. And then just let your breathing settle into a bit of a natural rhythm. And as we move today, I'm going to invite you to alter your breath at different points, just so it's a little bit more conducive to the movement. But if in between you want to use your Ujjayi breath, of course, feel free to do that. Let's take another deep breath here. And then when you feel ready, open your eyes. Just draw your arms out to a T shape, and let's get ourselves moving a little bit here. Just start to windshield wiper the knees, side to side. Maybe start rolling your head as you do this. You might want to inhale, lift up, exhale, knees down. Just checking in with the lower back, with the hips. Notice how they feel today. Maybe you've been doing a lot of walking, a lot of training, whatever it is that maybe is causing you to feel a little bit tight in the lower back, in the hips. Try not to worry about that. Just focus on relaxing into this movement here. Well done. Let's take a few more. Gently roll side to side. Nice work, and then lift those knees back up. Again, you're more than welcome to lengthen the lower back, lengthen the neck, and bring your right knee into the chest. Give it a little squeeze. Try and draw that knee more towards your armpit space. You'll feel that stretch a bit deeper in your hip. Maybe take a roll of your ankle. And then when you're ready, extend all the way through your left leg. Breathe a little bit deeper here if you can. And with every exhale, we just want to guide that knee a bit further in towards the armpit space. One more. And then release, change, left knee in, squeeze. And then when you're ready, extend, right leg all the way out. Again, you might want to roll out through your ankle. Well done. One more deep breath. And then release. Let's bring the soles of the feet back onto the mat. And let's start waking up that core a little bit. So again, one more time, lift up those hips, tuck your tailbone underneath. And I want you to think about pulling your belly button down towards your spine, as if it's going all the way through your body and into the mat. Now you'll hear me say this quite a few times in this session. Keeping your lower back in contact with the mat in a lot of these exercises is really one of the most important things you can do to help strengthen your core. A lot of the times, if we're doing any kind of reclined core exercise, it could be anything like bicycle crunches, or maybe toe taps. We might feel the lower back coming off the floor, and I really want you to think about pushing it down. Now, if you're quite new to anything like this, you might find that difficult in the beginning, but the more you practice it, the easier that's going to get, and the more stable you're going to get through the body. So we're going to take the arms out to a T shape and turn your palms down. Might be quite useful if you're on a hardwood floor or something that you can kind of grip a little bit with your hands. Now really push that lower back down, squeeze your knees together, and then lift the knees towards the chest. So almost as if we're coming into a little ball, as we usually would in our practice, but keeping the arms out wide. So from here, with the knees squeezing together, the palms down, keep that lower back pushing into your mat. We're going to come into a reclined twist. So drop your knees over to the right hand side, roll your head to the left, but today just hover those knees a couple of inches off the floor, and then bring the knees through center, head through center. Take the knees over to the left, head to the right, keep those shoulders down, and lift them all the way up. You should feel that core, the whole trunk of the body starting to fire up, and you might be able to feel it in the hip flexors as well, front of the legs. Breathe out on the way down. Inhale up. Exhale down. Inhale up. Don't worry about going too far into a twist here. Think about control over speed in this movement, and don't worry if you're slipping and sliding on your mat a little bit. Let's go for a few more. Drop those knees down and lift back up. Keep breathing. Squeeze belly button towards the spine. Hold on to it. Let's go for 2 more. Drop it down. Push those hands down. Lift back up. 1 more time. And back up. Well done. Squeeze the knees to the chest. Maybe bring your forehead towards the legs. And then roll a little bit through your lower back if you want to. Well done. Bring the soles of the feet back onto the floor. Again, lengthen through your lower back. Arms out wide. Let's release a little bit. Just take some nice deep windshield wiper motions to release from that movement. Nice controlled twist. Starting to switch on the core. And remember, in your yoga practice and your movement practice as well, try not to think of core exercises as the ones that just work the core. Although I'm going to give you lots of those today. Remember, full body compound movements are also brilliant core exercises. So squats, deadlifts, they're all great. Okay, let's take hold of the back of the legs and just taking as many rocks as you want. Bring yourself up to a comfortable seated position. We can take those feet over the head if you want to, and use your core to bring you all the way up to seated. I'm going to turn to face you guys, but you can stay facing the top of your mat. Okay, let's start to warm up through the side of the body. We're going to be using that quite a lot. Bring your palms to prayer at heart center. Full breath in, lift up, and as we exhale, bring your hand down to your side and then reach all the way up and over. Big full side body stretch. Right hand down, left arm all the way over. I'm just mirroring you, so I'm the opposite way. Inhale, lift. Exhale, down. And as you do this, really try and push that opposite knee down towards your mat. Reach through the fingertips. Inhale up. Exhale, down. Breathe out through your mouth if you want. Few more. Inhale, lift. Exhale, down. Inhale up. Exhale, down. Really nice. Let's lift all the way up. Deep breath in. And then as you exhale, just gently fold over those legs. Bring the hands as far forward as feels comfortable for you and just relax your head. Little stretch for those hips before we move into a high plank position. So relax your head. Don't worry too much about high plank. It's all right. Deep breaths. Last one. Really nice. Bring yourself all the way back up and then roll forward over your shins. And let's come to a tabletop pose. So bring your hands underneath your shoulders, spread out your fingers, knees directly underneath the hips. And from here, we're going to come into, nice and simple, a high plank pose, and make sure that our form is all good in high plank. So I'm sure you use a high plank all the time in your yoga practice, especially if you practice a lot of Ashtanga or Vinyasa yoga. So just make sure that you've got the form absolutely nailed before you take it any further. So we want the wrists underneath the shoulders. We want to make sure that the fingers are spread wide and that we're not taking too much weight in the heels of the hands. We want to push into the pads of the fingers, and you really want to protract your shoulders. So what I mean by this is push through the palms of your hands so you can feel the shoulder blades spreading apart. What we don't want is to collapse through the chest and just kind of prop ourselves up on our hands. So maybe take a few of these here. Push through those hands and then relax and just feel the difference between these two shapes. That nice, strong, supported protraction and then just collapse through your chest. We always want to be here in our yoga practice and we don't want to collapse through the chest at any point. Okay, so strong through those shoulders. Big step back on your right foot and then on your left foot, and we're in our high plank pose. Bring your big toes together if you can, but if you need to, take the feet out a little bit wider. It's going to give you a bit of a wider base to work with. Check in with those shoulders. Push the floor away from you, and I want you to squeeze your glutes here. So imagine you've got a 50-pound note between your bum cheeks. Hold on to it. Push tall. And let's hold here. Lift your kneecaps, engage the quads. You should really be able to feel that core firing up. Don't worry if you're shaking a little bit, if you're wobbling, that's okay. Hold. Let's go for 3. Push tall for 2. And 1, release down, come onto the knees. Push the bum back to the heels, little stretch through those arms into child's pose. Well done. Really nice. And then nice and slowly, we're going to come back to sit on the heels. Just a reminder, when you're in your high plank position, I know it seems like a really simple pose to be in, but if you're doing it all the time in your yoga practice and there's something not quite right in your alignment, it can actually lead to injuries further down the line. So a couple of little pointers with your high plank. As we've just done, what you want to make sure you're doing here is not lifting your hips. So we're not trying to come up to down dog, and we're not shifting the shoulders too far forward here either. We're keeping everything stacked, everything nice and engaged and strong. And if you feel like this is 10 out of 10 difficult for you within the first 10 seconds of doing it, then just drop onto your knees and focus on creating that exact shape with the upper body, but we're making it a little bit less intense by changing the leverages, so coming onto the knees. Okay, well done. Come back to sit on your heels, take a breath, and then we're going to come to stand up on the knees. So imagine you're going to come into camel pose, but bring your hands onto your waist. Take a big breath in, and then find that core engagement that we've just started to cultivate with our high plank, with our twists. So pull your belly button towards your spine, hands on the waist, and if you can, without tapping this foot down, we're going to step our right foot forward and come into a lunge. Keep the hands on the waist, breathe in, and exhale to release back to that kneeling position. Let's go through a few of these, get ourselves a little bit more warm. Lunge forward, left side. Take a breath, lift the chest, use your core, pull yourself back into that camel start pose. Off we go, right foot. Don't worry if we're a bit wobbly, that's okay. Bring yourself back, hold, squeeze the core, left foot forward, sink the hips. Bring it back. To make it a little bit easier, we can tuck the toes, advance it, point them back. Lunge forward, right foot. Feel it into that calf, send your knee forward, and then bring it back. As much control as you can. Few more here. Left foot forward, lunge forward, and then bring yourself back. Nice and controlled. 2 more. Right foot, you should be feeling this in the hip flexors as well. Bring it back, and left foot. Lunge forward, well done. excuse my clicky knee. Let's come back to that camel pose. Bring your hands underneath your shoulders. Nice smooth breath in. Exhale, downward facing dog. Feel free to take your heels on a little bit of a walk here in down dog if you want to. Nice work. Spread those fingers wide and push through your shoulders. Well done. Take another breath. Cool. We're going to work on a little drill, little exercise called inchworms. So from here, step your feet so they're pretty much hip width, if not a little bit wider. Keep your arms and your legs straight as you can. And before you do anything else, find your core connection in your down dog. So pull belly button towards spine and push your hands towards your feet, keeping the legs as straight as you can. Now from the back of the mat, let's stretch those hammies. Find your flat back position, hamstring stretch. Exhale, fold forward. Lift to flat back, look to the top of your mat. And again, hands and legs as straight as we can, engage the core. Walk it forward. Find your downward facing dog. We're going to add on a little bit here. Breathe in, rock yourself forward into your high plank pose and hold. Push tall. Remember everything we've just gone through. Engage that core, squeeze the glutes. And then from here, lift your hips high and let's bring the toes towards the wrists. Walk with straight legs if we can. Let's keep it moving. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, fold. Inhale, flat back position, look forward. Exhale, step it back. Again, move with as much control as we can. Don't worry if you look a bit silly. Focus on straightening those legs and using your core to drive the legs back. Hands to the feet. Push your mat away from you. Feel that core fire up. Inhale, lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, take it forward. There's no rush. Downward facing dog. Let's shift the weight forward into those arms. High plank and hold. Strong through the arms. Lift the kneecaps. Well done. Now push your hips high. Use the core. Keep the palms as flat as you can. Walk the toes to the heels. Walk the toes to the wrists. Inhale, lift. Exhale, bow. Inhale, flat back. And exhale, take your time, really root through your palms. Walk it back. Downward facing dog. We're going to go through one more of these. Take a breath. Well done. Find that core engagement. Push your hands back to your feet. And then lift. Flat back position. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lift. Exhale, take it forward. Downward facing dog. Push tall. Breathe in, high plank. And hold. Spread those fingers. Squeeze the glutes. Lift the hips. Walk the toes to the wrists. Breathe in, lift. Breathe out, fold. Well done. Let's keep it moving. Inhale, lift, flat back. Exhale, let's take it back. Downward facing dog. Well done. Really nice work. Take a breath in and out. Maybe a soft exhale through the mouth if you want to. Really nice. Now nice and slowly lift up onto the balls of the feet and then exhale. Bring the knees down onto your mat and bring the hands underneath the shoulders. We're going to go into a variation of our plank pose. So I want us to build on that connection we made in our first original high plank. So think about all these same alignment cues with the upper body. Wrists underneath the shoulders and really protract through your shoulder blades. We're going to keep the toes curled under here and we're going to come into something called a bear plank. And we are going to do this for 3 sets. If, like me, you're a little bit hypermobile in your elbows, so the soft part of your elbow tends to kind of spin forward, take a tiny little bend into the elbow and really try and push them back. Remember, grip your mat with your fingertips. I want you to arch a little bit more through the upper back here. Keep those toes curled under and then lift the knees. Just hover them a couple of inches off your mat. We're going to hold here. So make sure you're breathing. Make sure that belly button's coming in towards the spine. Now I'd recommend you start here with anywhere between 15 and 30 seconds and work your way up. But don't worry for now, just keep holding on with me. Let's keep breathing. Push, push, push. Strong as you can into the palms of the hands. Maybe look back between your knees. Make sure those hips aren't lifting up high. We just want to hover the knees. Again, you should feel it in the hip flexors. Really important part of the core. Push tall. Let's go for 5, 4, for 3. You got this. Hold on for 2. And 1, soften onto the knees, point the toes back, come to sit on the heels. Well done. Take a little roll of the shoulders. You might be feeling it in that upper body. Maybe roll out your neck a little bit. Like I said, if you're practicing this in your own time, I'd recommend bear planks. 3 sets, anywhere between 15 to 30 seconds, and then work your way up from there. If you want to advance your bear plank, which I'm going to do on this next one, you're going to point your toes back. So we're going to come onto the tops of the feet. Makes it a little bit more intense, but make sure you master the bear plank with the toes curled under first, and then you've got the option to progress if you really want to. Okay, so let's come back to that start position. Please don't think as well, oh, if I collapse through my upper body at any point, I should just stop, I'm doing it wrong. It's going to happen, especially when you're first learning these kinds of things. Don't worry about it too much. Just try and think, okay, I know what I need to work towards there. So spread out the fingers again. Push tall, a little bit of an arch through the upper back. I'm going to show you the advanced version. So come onto the tops of the feet, squeeze the glutes, hover the knees, and hold. We should really only be a couple of inches off the mat with those knees. We shouldn't be all the way up here. Make sure we're nice and controlled. Nice and protracted through those shoulders. Notice where those elbows are going. Keep the fingers spread wide. Remember to keep breathing as well. Don't worry if the Ujjayi breath has left the chat. That's okay. Just keep breathing in any way that feels right for you. Well done. We can breathe out through the mouth if we need. Push, push, push for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Release. Come to sit back on your heels. Well done. Roll out the shoulders. We're going to do one more set. And I'm going to regress mine. So I've shown you the harder version now. I'm going to curl my toes underneath for the last one. Again, maybe take a little roll through your neck. Just breathe nice and deeply. And like I said before, everything that I'm showing you in today's practice can be really, really useful and does translate pretty directly onto our yoga practice. But remember, your squats, whether they're body weight or with weight, are also great core exercises as well. So make sure they're in your routine somewhere. Okay, catch your breath. We're going to go for one more. Okay, let's come forward. Last time. Curl the toes underneath. Deep breath in and exhale, lift. Bear planks. Let's hover those knees. Make sure we are feeling it in the hip flexors. So if the knees are too close towards the wrists, we probably won't feel it enough. Make sure that we can feel the front of the legs firing up as well. Push tall. This last one, I really want you to think about arching that upper back. Hover those knees and breathe. Hold on to it. You got it? Strong arms. Arch through that upper back. Think angry cat sort of shape. Squeeze your glutes. Hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Release. Well done. Walk the hands forward a little bit. And then we're going to lower the hips and come into high cobra. Should feel quite nice after quite an intense core exercise. So lift through the chest, relax your shoulders. Deep breaths. Nice. Last one. Take a deep breath in and then exhale. We're going to lower all the way down onto the mat. Just make a little pillow with your hands. Drop your forehead. And then you might want to wiggle out the hips a little bit. Relax your shoulders. And here, just let's notice the heart rate. And slow your breathing down a little bit. Well done. And then from here, don't worry about this being a super glamorous transition. Come to lie on your back. So spin over and lie with your legs extended, your shoulders away from the ears. Okay. So let's return to that feeling of having the lower back in contact with the mat. So if we need to, bend the knees again, lengthen out through the lower back, tuck the tailbone underneath. And I'm going to introduce you to my, maybe favorite is the wrong word. I feel one of the most effective core exercises, especially for yogis and yoga teachers, which is the hollow body hold. So what we're essentially trying to do is create a dish shape with the body, and this really is a full body, more of a full body, but definitely full core exercise. I know I keep talking about the hip flexors. They are a really important part of your core, and if you're someone who feels like, oh, I love a low lunge because I have really tight hip flexors, maybe you don't. Maybe it is your core that's struggling a little bit. So this should be able to tell you if that's you. When I first started doing this, I hated it because I couldn't feel it. All I could feel were my hip flexors. I still am not its biggest fan now, but I've got stronger, so hip flexors have got a bit stronger. Anyway, let's get going. Lower back on the mat. What we're going to do is extend both of our legs, squeeze your glutes, lift the kneecaps, point the toes, and you're just going to hover the feet a couple of inches off your mat. Now with the upper body, we're going to keep pushing that lower back down. Hands are going to come by the waist. I'm going to show us the regressed version first. Make fists with your hands and then just crunch your upper body up and off the mat. So lift your shoulders towards your feet so you can see your big toes. The higher we can crunch here, the better, but we don't want to come all the way up here. We're not trying to go into navasana or boat pose. Okay, we're going to try and hold for a rough breath count of 5. This is a little bit more taxing than your bear plank. So what I would suggest here is you start with a breath count. Don't worry, we don't have to breathe in our yogic breath, but the breath count of 5 to 10 and work your way up from there. Okay, so lower back on the mat, point the toes, lift the kneecaps, hands make fists down by the waist. Let's lift those toes and crunch up forward. Let's hold. We should be shaking already in this. Push that lower back down for 4. Point the toes, see if we can crunch up for 3, 2, and 1. Release. Well done. You can bend those knees if you want. Maybe a couple of windshield wiper motions. Now I want these sessions to just give you a little bit of inspiration as to where you can take your own practice. And feel free to add some of these exercises in before or after your practice. And if you're working on inversions, hollow body is a great one for that. Okay, let's see if we can go for a couple more here. And then for the last one, I'm going to show you the advancement of this, which is pretty intense. Like I said at the beginning of the video, don't worry if your lower back's coming up and off the mat a little bit during this. With practice, it's going to get easier to really push it down. Okay, off we go. Extend those legs, point the toes, lower back down, hollow body position. Let's hold. We might want to breathe out through the mouth. Really try and lift through those shoulders. Kick forward with the feet. Try and lock out the knees if we can. Really try and lift them up and hold. Let's go for 5, 4, for 3, squeeze, 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 for 2, and 1, release. Well done. Again, maybe roll out through the knees. Take a couple of deep breaths. And if you're somebody who is working on your inversions, this might be quite useful for you, because when we work with engaging the legs in this way, when we are upside down, it becomes a little bit easier to squeeze our legs together and hold in a nice straight line, whether we're in pincher or headstand, whatever it is. Okay, so for this last round, I'm gonna show you the advancement of the pose. Okay, so instead of having the hands by the waist, we bring them up and over our head. So still making fists, we'll crunch up, and you want to really lift, hands towards the ceiling. Crunch the shoulders as far off the mat as you can. So if you're wearing a sports bra, you want to think about the top half of it coming off, and if you're not, think about the bottom of your shoulder blades being the last thing that's in contact with the mats. Everything above it should be up and off. Have a go if you feel like it. If you don't, you can stick with the modification and work your way up. Lower back down, off we go. Point those toes and crunch all the way up. We want to keep breathing. This pose is no joke. Hold on to it. We got this for 5. Extend those legs, reach up through the arms for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Whew. Release. Let's take those legs out. Windshield wiper motions again. Well done. Maybe bring both knees to the chest. Give the forehead a little squeeze in and release. And you notice a lot of these core drills I'm taking us through are on the mat, a little bit less intense on the wrists, which is a good thing if we suffer with any kind of wrist discomfort there. Okay, we're going to go through one more drill. I've saved the best, or maybe the worst, till last. We're going to build on that hollow body position, and we're going to add a little bit more movement to it. So we're going to keep the hands down by the waist to begin, the soles of the feet on the mat. We're going to crunch our shoulders up and off. We're going to hold for 3. We're going to bring the knees to the chest. We're going to hold for 3. We're going to extend the legs for a count of 3, and then hold here for a count of 3. We're going to bring the arms over the head, hold for a count of 3, bring them down, hold for 3. Bring the knees in for a count of 3, hold for a count of 3, feet down, crunch up, hold for a count of 3, and then come back down. Last little kind of core finisher here. You'll definitely be feeling it in the core by the time we finish this. Remember to breathe, and don't worry. If you feel like you need to come out of it a little bit and then come back in, by all means do that. This is a great one to put in at the end of your practice. You'll definitely be feeling it everywhere, especially in those hip flexors in that core. Are we ready? Let's go. Lower back lengthens onto the mat. Make fists with the hands, shoulders up. 3, 2, and 1. Knees in, squeeze. 3, 2, 1. Extend. 3, 2, as much control as we can. Last 1. Hold, hollow body. 3, 2, 1. Arms up. Hold. 3, 2, and 1. Arms down. Knees in. 3, 2, 1. Squeeze. I know it burns. Hold. 3, 2, 1. Feet down. Keep lifting those shoulders. Last little bit. 3, 2, and 1. Release. Whew. Well done. Bring the arms up and over your head. Full breath in. And as you exhale, roll the knees to the right. Let your head either flop to the left, or you can just keep it neutral. And if you want to, you can stack right ankle over that left knee and just relax. Take a couple of deep breaths. Big stretch for the core, which you've worked really hard. Well done. Just taking some deep and steady breaths here. And then let's change. Bring those knees over to the left. You can stack the ankle if you want to. And just remember as well, if you're in your yoga practice and you're working on things like your high plank, your navasana, all of the stuff we practiced today, it's really, really going to help you get a bit closer to feeling more comfortable in those poses, as well as building a lot of body awareness, which is a really important part of our yoga practice. Let's bring those knees up. One last little stretch. Come into little bridge pose. If you want to take this in a supported way, go ahead. Feel free to just bring a yoga brick underneath your lower back. But if not, just push into your feet, lift your hips, hands underneath the bum, guide your shoulders underneath. Just big stretch out through the front of the body. Keep your neck long. Breathe. See if you can lift those hips. One more inch. And then slowly, slowly release the hands. Release the hips. Close your eyes and extend the legs. Let's take a deep breath in. Out through the mouth. Really well done today. Take a moment to thank yourself for practicing this core focused session, maybe trying something new. Allow yourself to just relax here if you can in Shavasana for a few minutes. Thank you so much for practicing this core focused flow with me today, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and until I see you again, namaste.